Welcome into the Saints Insider Podcast. Today is Friday, November the 7th. Zach Ewing here with Jeff Duncan, Luke Johnson, and Matthew Paris. And we are previewing Saints Panthers. You know, we kind of had a discussion, guys, about whether we should even keep doing game previews at some point. There's only 17 games. I guess you got to preview them all. They're going to take on a little bit of a different tenor. I don't know that we're going super heavy on X's and O's here, and as much as just what we're looking for from this, rebuilding, getting younger Saints team. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's fair to say they're getting younger. They're playing a lot of out of their rookie class. We're talking about their first rounders playing, their second rounders playing. Their third round defensive tackle isn't because he's out for the year, but their third round safety's starting. Danny Stutzman is getting regular minutes. Their fourth round rookie corner is starting.
Effectively starting, yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about a team that is leaning on a huge chunk of their rookie class. I think getting younger is really the mindset that this team is taking the 2025 approach with.
I thought it was interesting the other day. How long did Shough talk? 10 minutes or so?
It was 15. Yeah.
15, and I think he got one question about the Panthers.
Right.
That's where we're at. It's really not that important. The game is the other stuff that Luke's talking about.
Now, having said that, I think the games are going to provide context win
Absolutely.
or lose to what this team needs to do going forward, especially when it comes to Tyler Shough, Matt. And to that end, this game, which is at noon on Sunday, is at least on paper, much easier test than the Rams. The Panthers' record is still good. They're 5-4, but I think we all recognize, especially on the defensive side of the ball, this is a gettable defense versus what the Rams showed last week.
It is. It's at least an opportunity to evaluate him on more of an even playing field. Like from the jump last week, they were jumped on. Like it wasn't. It was. He went so long without touching the ball and of real time that it was like, are we gonna see Tyler Shough in the second half? What does he still have? What more can he prove? You just need those reps, and I think the Panthers, the Saints are gonna run more than 40 plays this week. At least I would hope so. So at least you get more of a sample size to see what he can do.
They ran 9 plays in the first quarter and a half last week. Then they had the good drive at the end of the half. And then they ran 3 more plays for the next quarter and a half. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, it was a record for time of possession.
Record low.
16:07.
Record low.
Yeah.
I mean, that says it all right there. They just didn't have the ball. So, I think every rep matters for Tyler Shough and this offense. And I thought he was okay last week. I didn't think he was terrible. I didn't think he blew anybody's socks off. But he definitely looks comfortable out there. He didn't look overwhelmed to me against a very good team. Even after he took that big hit, kind of shook it off. But we'll see. We'll see. This is Carolina's sneaky good, I think, in a weird way defensively. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just looking up some of their numbers. I think they're 12th in EPA per rush, something like 22nd in EPA per pass.
Defensively.
Yeah. So they're actually, I think when teams do run the ball on them, they're pretty successful. They're giving up 4.6 yards per carry. But I think they're much improved from last year's defense. If you remember last year, they had, I think, the worst run defense in the last several years of NFL football. They've gotten better, but I still think this is an ascending team. I don't think it's a team that has all the way gotten there yet. We saw them get absolutely blown out by the Buffalo Bills. They've had games where they looked really good. They beat the Atlanta Falcons 30-0, but they started the season 1-3.
Who'd they beat last week?
Yeah, they beat the Green Bay Packers last week.
But you're right. They've been kind of Jekyll and Hyde. They got crushed by New England and Buffalo. Those are good teams. They also, I think, needed a big comeback to beat Miami. They kind of slogged it out with the Jets and ended up winning that game. But then you turn around and, like you said, they beat Atlanta by 30. They go to Green Bay and win somehow. So it depends on what version of the Panthers you get. But there's some hope here for the Saints.
I think that's going to be true for these divisional games down the stretch, right? Which version of the Panthers and Falcons are you going to get?
Mm-hmm.
You could make a case for the Saints winning a couple of those games. Mm-hmm. You can make a case for the Saints losing all 4 of those games, depending on which version of those teams they're playing in a given week. So, I mean, I think this week is definitely a gettable game for the Saints. You look at their schedule for the first 9 games. I mean, they played some really tough teams. They played some of the class of the NFL in those games. I think that's going to change down the stretch. We're going to see if the Saints are able to capitalize on it. This is a good opportunity for them to show that they're not one of the worst teams in the NFL.
And Bank of America Stadium, not exactly a hostile place to play.
Not a fortress.
It's one of the
big
easier
bass drum keep pounding.
There's just not much to that place, man. It's so antiseptic. Everything's kind of boring in Charlotte.
I do wonder how fired up
Calling Charlotte out.
how fired up they'll be, after seeing their team go to Green Bay and win. Like, you may get one of the better Panthers crowds in a while.
They may get that podcast group back out there.
Yeah, the guy in the podcast group that called it a career and then they wanted to come back, and the Panthers fan base said, no, we're good.
That's right.
I will say on this show, at least for 3 other matchups, we've been like, well, they've been coming off a big win, and maybe this is their letdown game, and it just doesn't happen. So I just don't think we can take that for granted.
Those were good teams.
We said it for the Bills. We said it for the Patriots. We said it for the Bears.
Yeah, the Bears.
And they got trucked in almost every one of those games. I mean,
But those teams are better than this team, I think. So.
But I don't know. I think Dave Canales has got these boys on the right track. No,
all right, get out of here.
I just think the Panthers are playing well. I mean, their run game is a lot better than it was. Bryce Young no longer looks like a historic bust, and they just have kind of like I don't think they're like great. I just think they've taken that step from like either bad or mediocre to mediocre good. Like it's that's kind of what you want to see in your franchise. And Brandon Staley was talking about it, like the check marks you look to see if your team's improving. I think the Panthers check a lot of those.
Yeah, and they've obviously gotten better running the ball. We'll talk about that. The betting line is Panthers by 5.5. The over-under is a very low, I think, was it 39.5?
Wow, that's low.
Just kind of expecting the Panthers to figure out a way to win, which they've done, more often than not this year. So we'll break it down. I do want to let you know that the Saints Insider is sponsored by Bank Plus. From small business to big business, home loans to Bank Anywhere technology, Bank Plus is here for New Orleans. New deposit customers can reach out today to learn about incredible rate specials. Learn more at bankplus.net. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Okay, so y'all talked on Wednesday about the trades the Saints made in trading away Rashid Shaheed and Trevor Penning. So I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I guess just for this game, how does that affect things? We expect Dylan Radins to play left guard for Trevor Penning, and then I guess Devaughn Vele is the guy who's going to get most of the increased playing time from Shaheed. Is that the general
Let's
thought?
let Matt take that one.
You would hope so. I mean, Kellen Moore said that it was going to be Vele, Tipton, and Cooks as a combination to fill the gap. If Vele doesn't get like the majority of snaps or constant playing time, then I think that says a lot about him. I mean, I've been baffled by the usage. I think we all have been. He's played as many or fewer snaps than 17 fourth-rounders from this year's draft, which they gave up a fourth-rounder in next year's draft to get him, plus the seventh rounder in 2027. So they gave up a lot, and he just hasn't been featured. And there really hasn't been a good excuse of why he hasn't been prominently featured. Kellen Moore suggested that, okay, we haven't gotten in the red zone enough, which makes sense. He's their 6'5" red zone target, throw him the ball. But they've had 60 red zone snaps. 18. He's only played 18 of those, and it's been behind Chris Olave, which you would expect. Brandon Cooks has had more snaps than not only Vele, but slightly even more than Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson. Like, I just don't understand why he's not in the game in those scenarios. And then also, he had a hip injury that maybe slowed his progress, but they haven't really used that as like the main excuse of why he hasn't. The worst case scenario for the Saints is they just like don't like what they're seeing and are afraid to use him. But I think he can contribute more than that.
I mean, it makes no sense, right? Like when they made the trade, you're like, okay, that's a lot, but like 6'5", 210, they needed that in the team, right? And then like you look at all the areas they struggled this year, red zone, not on the field or not getting targeted. Like I think the one time we saw him like really get a true red zone target, he caught a touchdown pass, and then after that, it's like nothing. They're struggling on third down. Where could the 6'5", 210-pound guy help you? third down red zone. Like they're not throwing the ball to him there. So please get him involved, because otherwise it just feels like malpractice to send that draft pick away, which we had a good feeling then, and we know now that it's going to be it's going to be one of the first picks on day 3. That's a valuable pick, right? You see, guys, it's in the pick number 100 range. We see a lot of good players taken in that range.
Yeah, the Panthers have a receiver that has more production. I'm blanking on his name, but he was taken at the top of the 4th round.
Jalen Coker,
Maybe.
Jalen Coker was last year.
Yeah,
Or
you're
we're
right.
talking about this year. Yeah.
Regardless, I mean, they need to I get that Rashid had this very special take the top off the defense speed, and you want to try to replicate that a little bit. You can do some of that with Brandon Cooks and Mason Tipton, but
the Titans. I'm sorry.
forget all. You're thinking of A.O. Minor.
No,
Guy Manor.
the guy from Florida, Chimere.
We're just going to throw out names
Regardless.
here.
Hey,
Who
look,
have been more productive.
we'll edit
than
this
Devaughn
out.
Vele.
I mean,
it's a long list.
they can try to bits and pieces do it with Tipton and Cooks on the deep shot stuff, but they absolutely need to make sure they're getting some return on their investment with Devaughn Vele. They have to.
I think Tipton will get more run. Don't you think Tipton will be the return guy?
I mean,
Stealing
Sure.
the thunder from our special team segment.
maybe, but
Sorry, we'll edit that out too.
I don't think he's shown any juice as a returner either.
Yeah, it's weird because he seems fast when you watch him in practice, but then in game speed, it doesn't seem like he's getting any kind of separation, which might be why he was.
Maybe we'll see your guy Jaden Price.
Yeah,
But here's my okay.
Phil Galliano mentioned him this week
I
as a
know.
potential
I'm about to say
replacement.
And Dante Pettis.
I think they've got to get Vele on the field though. And
Yeah.
I think they will. Seems like. I mean, I will say I don't know if you read into this at all, but when we asked Shough about it, Vele was the first guy he did mention about who's going to replace
Right,
Shaheed.
right, but
He's not. calling
we
the
shouldn't
plays.
we shouldn't be having this will they turn to him after they traded their number 2 receiver? That should have
They
been
should have.
obvious.
I don't understand why Brandon Cooks was receiving more playing time than.
Cooksey.
Yeah, I just, I think Cooks has been a very valuable player for them in the sense of what he brings as a leadership. He's a heck of a pro. I really enjoy talking to him. But I was actually talking to Cooks this week about his own usage, and he was talking about I'd love some opportunity. And I was like, oh, is that just play calls? He's like, yeah, but play calls specifically designed
Right.
to go to me where I'm in the progression or stuff like that. I think that's also the issue too, is that just and to be fair to Kellen Moore, not a lot of coaches are going to be let me scheme up my play call for my third receiver. It's just, but there's not that variety, I think. And I don't know how, when Brandon Cooks was talking about that, he wasn't really ranting about it. He was just saying it kind of as a matter of fact. And the facts are that they just haven't used really anyone besides Olave, Shaheed, and Jawan Johnson really that much in this offense.
So who, if you had to guess, is the second leading wide receiver on Sunday? Let's leave Jawan Johnson, Alvin Kamara out of it. Who is the second leading wide receiver?
I will say include Juwan Johnson and Alvin Kamara in it. It should be Devaughn Vele.
Yeah.
It should be.
As far as number of targets,
Yes.
Targets or
catches,
snaps
I mean,
or
Targets.
all of the
targets.
above.
They haven't thrown the
Yeah.
ball to. He's got one game with more than 2 targets this year. I
Yeah.
think. And it was the Bucks game. I think that was that Tyler Shough threw to him 3 times in the second half of that game. Get him involved, man. When he does, when they have thrown the passes, the ball to him, good things have happened. Use them. Otherwise, it's just you just lit a 4th round pick on fire for no reason. I understand the guy's under contract for 2 more years after this, but
Maybe Shough will. I don't know. Maybe a different quarterback too. Maybe looks his way a few more times. I
Maybe.
don't know.
And that's part of the problem is we didn't see enough last week to say that he this is his tendency or that is his tendency. But this is the whole theme, right? We're talking about how the games don't matter as much anymore. Play the guys. It'd be different if the Saints were 4-5 and you'd say, okay, well they could still make the playoffs. You need to play Brandon Cooks and try to win these games. You don't need to try to win those games that hard. Play the guys. Play the young guys. Find out who's going to be a part of this.
yeah, I mean, obviously try to win the games, but
I'm not saying you don't try,
you
but-
need to be doing this with the guys who are going to be part of your future outlook, and Devaughn Vele has to be part of that.
Right. And there are moments where the game circumstance kind of trumps the development aspect. Like, I was pretty baffled by Kellen Moore's decision to take out Tyler Shough on that 4th and 2 for Taysom Hill last week. I thought, why would you not want to see what your young quarterback could do in that scenario? And I asked Kellen about it on Wednesday, and he said that like it was a short yardage situation, so it is basically like the equivalent of running a run play instead, which, okay, fair. But then he also said like Tyler Shough will have plenty more 4th down and 3rd downs in his career to like see what he can do. And I thought that was like a fair point.
Yeah, no, I actually, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah,
me too.
But like,
I wasn't at the time, but this is why you talk to guys and you see what they had to say and you take what they had to say under consideration. And I think it was a fair point. I mean, to our general point, you had to see what the young guys can do, but also it's related to left guard as well. I mean, they're going with Dylan Radins over Torricelli Simpkins, and I'm totally fine with that because I just don't think Simpkins, an undrafted free agent, is quite ready yet for that spot.
right. I agree with that. Like, I think that if you're going to be playing the young guys, they do have to be at least somewhat ready. Like, if you're going to torpedo your chances of seeing what you have in Tyler Shough
Right.
to get more of a longer look at Torricelli Simpkins, then you're really not doing yourself any favor there.
But why Vele is particularly confusing is because he does have a track record of production.
Right, exactly.
It's not like they traded for an unproductive receiver.
Right. If they traded for a 7th rounder from last year's draft who had like 10 catches last year, it's a different conversation.
Right.
But like he was a good player for a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
It's just if the guy is not going to torpedo the rest of the offense, give him a shot. If he is, if you think Simpkins is, then that makes less sense. So
yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We will continue to break down Saints Panthers right after this on the Saints Insider.
Did they ask you to do the commercial too?
Yeah, but they just gave me one line.
Bet like a Caesar. Like, we're going to sit here and we're going to tell them how Caesar's Sportsbook is just so easy to use that you can watch and bet thousands of sports events, even some NFL games.
They'll probably show us betting on our favourite players and teams at all the Vegas hotspots too.
Like, we have time for that montage.
I told him I couldn't do it.
They couldn't afford me.
Nice bike.
Thanks. Can I get it back before Saturday?
That might be tough.
Whoa. Is it just you?
For now, let's take a look.
Hi, strawberry mango. Here you go. Thank you. I'll take another one.
And welcome back to the Saints Insider Podcast. For this Friday, we are brought to you by Bank Plus. We encourage you to go check them out for any and all of your banking needs. And in the meantime, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave comments. We got somebody hit the score nail on the head last week, and we are going to shout him out when we do our predictions later in the show. You can leave your score. I will say this. I'll repeat that at the time. I'm not 100% sure that he left it before the game. But if you are cheating to get a shout out on the Saints Insider, we need to have a talk, okay? But
How do you take back a clap? I don't know.
it said 5 days ago this morning, and so I'm like, okay, Friday morning. 5 days ago would be Sunday morning, so I think he got it in.
All right.
If you start doing this all the time,
We're going to keep an eye out on you.
I may have to
User that we'll
take
find
a
out
poll
later.
Sunday morning, but he did hit it on the head. So anyway, maybe don't be so obvious next time either. Like be off by a field goal or something. And I don't know. We'll see. But leave your score prediction in the comments. Hit the like button while you're there and subscribe to the channel. Okay, breaking this game down. Again, these segments are going to be a little bit quicker, I think, than they were when the games actually meant something. When the Saints have the ball, we've been talking about Devaughn Vele and the receiving core. I want to focus in on Tyler Shough. Jeff, did you mentioned this against the Rams, that he looked fine. Okay, he only played 40 snaps. He threw, I think, 24 passes. Did you see anything that you would consider a red flag from Tyler Shough that says, oh boy, I'm really worried about that?
No, I didn't. I think that might be the best thing, is that I felt like he didn't look like he didn't belong at all. But, I mean, he didn't really make any wow plays. I thought late, Kellen talked about that, like that one drive that was kind of promising and it petered out. He did throw some outside the numbers. Those are NFL throws, and he seems comfortable doing that. But I thought he commanded the offense. Or I think in the red zone a couple times where he got up and got them into a different play. So all the command of the offense, all the things that I think they liked about him, we saw. We've just got to see him keep making progress. I think that's the key. Just more reps. See him maybe spread the ball around like we've been talking. I would like to see him recognize, like, hey, I've got Devaughn Vele, and I want to put the ball, and I want to see that kind of thing. We're in the red zone, make him make a contested catch. Some of the little things. I think the one thing that this offense in general has been a little scattershot with, and we've talked about a lot, is the passing game to the running backs, and there's just been non-existent when they've tried to do it. It feels like it's kind of blown up. They've got, I think needs to be a few more easy buttons for the quarterback, and that's on Kellen. And Kellen's talked about that. I'd like to see, and this will be an interesting challenge because Carolina does have some elite defensive players. I mean, Brown, J.C. Horn's having a big year. So it'll be interesting to see how they defend the Saints. If they put all their attention now with no Shaheed, I mean, I imagine Olave is going to get all the attention from the opposing secondary. And how's that going to affect Shough now? Where's he going to go with the ball if they bracket Olave, which I expect they will? Doesn't leave him a whole lot of options, but he's got to figure that stuff out. That's part of being an NFL quarterback.
Derek Brown, by the way, was limited in Thursday's practice.
Yeah, popped up late on the injury report.
Yeah. So we'll see. This is, again, recording before the Friday injury report, but it's possible that he could be limited for Carolina. Alvin Kamara has just had 6 carries the last 2 games, guys, and part of that is the team's been behind and they haven't had that many snaps, period. At some point, does he get more involved, or are we just going to see him kind of fade into Bolivia, as Mike Tyson would say?
I mean, I think if it's going to happen, it would have to happen, this week, right? And like we mentioned, the Panthers they're improved against the run, but they're still not like really good. And I think if you're going to be developing a young quarterback, like we've said it time and time again on the show, when this offense is going right, they're running the football. Get Alvin involved, get him involved early. We can talk about how bad they've been early in games with this opening game script. Get something to get him going early to alleviate some of the pressure off Tyler Shough and maybe give him some play action opportunities. Some things that are designed to help the quarterback out. I would love to see him be a bigger part of the passing game. We're talking. He's on pace to average he's averaging 4.5 yards per catch right now. That's not the Alvin Kamara that we know. Right. Yeah, there's got to be some other buttons they can push within this offense to make him like a viable part of the passing game, where it's not just kind of dump offs or whatever, where you're trying to just get the ball easy to him in space. Like he can do a lot more stuff as a receiver, so I want to see a little bit more of that. And to bring up something Jeff brought up, the stuff that I think Tyler Shough really excels at right now are those deep outbreaking routes. Like we saw him connect on probably 3 or 4 of those, just like lasers to the outside, 15 to 20 yards downfield. Not a lot of quarterbacks can throw the ball that way. Like take advantage of that thing that he does really well and see if he can hit some soft spots and some zone coverage if the Panthers are running that, and try to get some more chunk plays that way.
Luke mentioned the script. Saints have been just awful early in games on offense. I mean, have they scored on an opening possession yet?
Yeah,
they've had a field goal.
Had a field goal and a touchdown.
Okay, so it's not quite as bad as I remember, but it just seems like it's 3 and out more often than not.
Well, it's not. It's as bad as you remember because they're running the fewest plays of any team in the NFL. They've had 38 plays total on their first series. That is the worst in the NFL, or fewest in the NFL.
38 plays on their first series total through 9 games.
Yeah.
So through 9 games on their first possession,
averaging
4.2 yards or 4.2 plays per drive.
That's last in the league. The Denver Broncos, former coach Sean Payton, 31st.
I mean, my God, you go 3 and out and you'd be at 27. Like this is
yes.
Yeah. They have hit on 2 explosives, right?
Yes, 2 explosives. So generally, when you're talking about a script, you're talking about the first 15 plays. And I asked Kellen Moore this week, what's an ideal, when when do you ideally want to have all those plays done? And he said like the first 2 drives. Now some of those plays are first and second down. Third downs are like their own set of
They're situational
like in the thing. But just out of curiosity, I looked up, all right, what drive did it take to reach their first 15? It's taken them 4 separate games. They haven't reached play 15 and for 4 of those games. So
until their 4th drive.
Yes, until their 4th drive. So week 1, their 3rd drive, they reached play 15. Week 2 and week 3 were 4. Week 4, 5 were 2. Week 6 was 3. Week 7 was 4. Week 8 was 2. Week 9 was 4.
And if you're going to the 4th possession, you're well into the second quarter.
Yes.
I mean, this is no longer.
But they're also probably, changing once they get down. The script probably goes out the window, I would imagine. I mean, once you're down 14-0,
But that's the problem, right?
This is part of the
right. It's not a perfect way to look at it, but just like when do you get to your first 15 play?
Yeah. I'm just saying, like they're not. Once they're down 14-0, they're not going by the script anymore.
Right.
But
the point still remains that their opening script has not been good.
Right.
Even last week when they went 3 and out.
Right.
I mean, they had a 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7, and they get the completion for 5 or 6 yards, a yard shy of the marker. It seems like they're doing that an awful lot too.
And they're having some explosive plays, like the 39-yard shot to Shough in the San Francisco game was like an opening type play. They had a 53-yard completion to Chris Olave. Like they've had, of their 6 longest plays, half of those have been in like the opening series, either their first drive or their second drive. So like it's in there. It's not like Kellen Moore isn't calling plays designed to go for big yardage. It's just they just haven't been able to execute. And like I don't know, as tempting as it is to blame Kellen Moore on some of these plays, like you're calling a run for Alvin Kamara last week on second down, you expect him to get more than 1 yard. Like
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He keeps saying that.
Yeah.
They got to execute better. And then sometimes when you go in and watch the game again, I see what he's saying. It sounds like coach speak, but then, like we've talked, you and I and Sean Fazan were talking the other day, like, what's Chris Olave doing on this route?
Thanks for the invite, Sean.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I see what he's saying. He's saying, like, it sounds cliche, but at some point, sometimes the players do have to execute the play that he's calling. One thing I was going to say, I wanted to get your all's thoughts on this. So I'm talking about the offense. Am I wrong? I mean, have they done much jet sweep at all with the receivers? Did they try that and it didn't work?
They did more of it earlier in the season.
Yeah,
Shaheed a couple times, right?
Yeah.
They don't really have someone that runs that well, you think? Or
it's not. I think maybe the jet sweep stuff is not going to be as big a part of their offense, but I do think that now that we're into the second start of the Tyler Shough era, I think we'll see some more designed quarterback runs. I think they can get more juice out of the running game that way. Spencer is in my opinion, a much better scrambler.
Yeah,
than Shough. I think that's like more of like kind of like a feel thing versus like the straight up pure athleticism. But on design run, like I thought Shough was the better player. Like when we saw in training camp on just those where it's like you're sticking your foot in the ground and going. RPOs, read options, all that sort of stuff. I think we're going to see more of that out of this offense moving forward.
Yeah, I will say though, like that's like Louisville did less of that, and he stayed healthy. Texas Tech, that was like a lot more of their part of their offense, and that was kind of.
I don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see like 15 carries, But I don't think we've seen any design runs with Shough yet through his first 2 games. So I think we're going to see more of it.
That's a thing I didn't think of, but man, I guess one of the worst things that could happen for this entire franchise is if he gets hurt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like a season-ending injury, then what? That's a curveball I didn't really anticipate or think about.
Yeah. I mean, you need to have this evaluation period. One more thing I'll add just to the opening script that just occurred to me. The Saints are like winning the toss and choosing the ball too.
Right.
That's happened like 3 times in the last 4 weeks now, and that exacerbates the problem when you start slow. Is that give us the ball, let us go 3 and out, and then we'll punt it to you, give you good field position, and we don't get the ball at the start of the second half. It's all broken.
I get the idea in theory. but like we're not talking about this in a vacuum. Like I don't think you can continue doing that when your offense is playing at the level that it is. You need to give yourself as many opportunities as at stealing possessions as possible. You get yourself in a position where you're getting a 2-for-1. Like you need to have those.
At least they're winning to something.
Good point. Good point.
Okay, let's flip over to the Saints defense against this Panthers offense. We mentioned like Bryce Young has been better. I don't know that he's ever going to be an elite quarterback. He's been fine. The real revelation for the Panthers has been the running game with Rico Dowdle, who's just like become one of the NFL's leading rushers somehow.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I think in the last 5 games during which the Panthers are 4-1, I think he's got like 656 rushing yards, which is like the overwhelming majority of his career of his season total. So he wasn't really that big a part of the offense at the start of the season when they were kind of scuffling a little bit.
Chuba Hubbard got hurt. And then
Correct.
This is Rico Dowdle was the backup. Wally Pipp situation.
Yeah, he's been excellent. Something like 750 yards on the season. He's, I think, 4th among NFL running backs in rushing EPA this year. Obviously, coming off the big game last week against Green Bay, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like he's like a lot to handle. The big physical running back who runs hard, and then they got Chuba, Chuba Stank Hubbard behind him. Did you like that?
I did like that.
That's a shout out to all my fellow like mid-aughts crappy rock band.
I bet most people didn't even get that, but I'm going to let it breathe.
Good.
Oh, people!
I certainly didn't get it.
People
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know Hoobastank?
There's a band called Hoobastank.
Of course not.
It's Chuba Stank.
Chuba
Please,
Stank.
I don't know anything like that.
Hoobastank's terrible, by the way.
Dude,
I have no.
You
pop
weren't
culture.
even that old at that
I don't
point.
even have any pop culture.
What was Hoobastank's
history.
hit?
I don't know.
Something about being perfect and
Yeah, it's
it's
out of
very
control.
whiny.
Was a song of theirs.
It's very whiny. I don't like it. Anyway,
We're getting derailed here, but let me chime in on this.
speaking of Stank, the Saints tackling. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Perfect segue. They've got to tackle better. I mean, make what you will. I know there's haters out there that hate Pro Football Focus, but the Saints are ranked last in the entire league in tackling, according to their metrics. Mm-hmm. They've not tackled well. I think a lot of that has to do with the 3-4 scheme switch, and they don't really have quite the right personnel. Talking to Brandon Staley before the season, I asked him about like what differences there would be between 4-3, 3-4 personnel. He said, just think more agile guys in space. That's what we need. And I think that shows up now. You know, they're getting guys out in space and they can't quite make the tackle. But to Luke's point, I mean, Rico Dowdle's one of the more physical runners in the entire league. That's been a problem for the Saints on initial contact, guys getting yards after contact. To me, if they have any chance of winning, they've got to tackle better and they got to control their running game. That's the only chance they've got.
Yeah, and I think if they can look, we talked about this on the show before. Like the Saints are kind of this Jekyll and Hyde run defense. There's weeks where they look really good, and then there's weeks where they don't.
Yeah, last week
they really don't.
Got ran on right off the bat.
Yeah, Brandon Staley tried coming out and saying that like the rushing numbers were not as bad as they looked last week. It was bad, man.
Yeah,
like
they were just running right.
Kyron Williams
6
and
yards a pop.
who's their backup running back?
The
Blake
Corum.
Yeah. Blake Corum. Both of those guys averaged like 5 yards a pop against them. It did look bad last week.
I agree.
So I mean, they can't. If they can find a way to slow down this rushing attack, like I think they'll have a chance at winning this game. But like that's a big if. We just don't know which team is going to show up on Sunday.
I will say when the Saints have played, they've played a pretty darn good list of quarterbacks so far this year. When you start to include Drake May and Sam Darnold as like top 5 MVP guys, which they have been so far, you have those two. You have Josh Allen. You have say what you want about Kyler Murray and Mac Jones, but Mac Jones has played pretty well. They have played and then obviously Matthew Stafford last week. They've played a pretty good slate of quarterbacks. It does feel like Bryce Young, if you could heat him up a little bit, might be more in the mold of a guy who will make a mistake for you. I mean, I do think that there's some chance here for the Saints to make an impact in that way.
Before last year's loss in Charlotte, like the Saints had been better against Bryce Young than any other team that Bryce Young had faced. Like they made him look terrible for 3 of those 4 games, but he got into a little bit of a rhythm. He didn't light them on fire last year, but he was still pretty good. He helped seal that game away and
Sealed DA's fate.
Yeah, ended up contributing to Dennis Allen getting fired. And so I think he's you don't want to underestimate him. He's not going to be the most electric quarterback, but he can make plays with his feet. Accuracy, I think he's got improved there, and they have a better supporting cast than they did last season as well. Tat McMillan has been pretty good for them.
Been really good. Yeah, so it's not going to be easy for the Saints defense. I do think that they probably have been a little better than last week showed against a really balanced elite offense that was kind of firing on all cylinders. So that is one thing we haven't talked about is we can kind of transition into our picks, Matt. But this is basically, I think it's 53 weeks, so one week more than a year since the Saints went to Charlotte last year. And, of course, that was Dennis Allen's last game, the most embarrassing defeat of a 7-game losing streak where the Saints got Derek Carr back and still couldn't beat hapless Carolina. And these two franchises have just kind of gone two separate directions since then, Jeff.
Yeah, and I think we all thought like it was going this way this year. I think all of us picked the Saints to have a losing record, but I don't think we quite saw it being quite this bad. And I think there's been a convergence of factors that have contributed to that. The young quarterbacks being probably the biggest one. But I'm still not bought in on your Carolina Panthers.
I'm not either. That was a thing last year. My hot takes expire. They have expiration dates.
But I will say, I mean, look, they're second in the division right now. They've usurped the Atlanta Falcons, who I would say are bigger underachievers than the Saints.
Raheem Morris has got to be feeling
I think our old friend Terry Fontenot's in trouble there too.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. There's a lot of talent on the Falcons roster. I think Carolina, when you look at their roster, to Matt's point earlier, I mean, they're kind of in mid-transition. I mean, they've got some good young pieces. McMillan's a big one. But that roster's got a ways to go. But they're kind of maxing out what they've got right now.
Carolina was 3-23 in the 25, 2-23 in the 25 games before they beat Dennis Allen and the Saints last year, and they're 9-9 since. The Saints, meanwhile, have won four of their last 17 games.
Sounds right.
Or 4 of their last 20, something like that. They've only won 2 games since December of last year. Both are against the Giants.
After that game last year, they beat Cleveland, Atlanta, the Giants, and then the Giants again this year.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. So 2 teams going in different directions, obviously. Panthers are an ascending team. The Saints are still trying to figure it out. But, like, the Saints will have a chance to do something with this next year, especially if it continues down this path where you're looking at a top 5 pick. Like, they will have a chance to get out of it quickly, but, like, they've got to right a lot of wrongs. You know, they got to get better drafting. Yeah, they've too few young players who are contributing in big ways. They've got to get the right players for their scheme. Kellen Moore's got to learn from the bumps in the road from his first year as a head coach. I mean, they've got a long way to go, but it's possible. You know, I mean, look, we've seen it with the Panthers were a joke for like 4 or 5 years, however long after they let go of Cam Newton.
Oh
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Ron
Rivera. Blah blah blah. But look, they got the right coach in there. They're getting more out of their young players. They've played a lot of young players, and now they're an ascending team. Like, it doesn't have to be that far off, but you have to connect on some big swings.
You saying the best is yet to come?
Oh my gosh! Don't do that to me.
A quick note on special teams, just because we did have the slide up there. You guys mentioned this earlier, but Rashid Shaheed, obviously a big part of the return game. Is that Mason Tipton? Is that Devin Neal? I mean, that'll be one question we get answered to. Is how
we'll see Taysom Hill back there. Maybe some Devin Neal. They've got a number of guys in their practice squad who have
Dante Pettis
experience. Pettis actually. I forgot this, but like he actually did pretty good as a punt returner last year. He had like a 40-yard return. Like I think he can give them something there, maybe. But yeah, they might also put Ugo Amadi back there. He's had experience with the Saints. There's just like a lot of different ways they can go with it. Not exactly sure which one they'll do. It was funny though, seeing him put Shaheed back there as a kick returner last week for the first time, and the Rams were just like, you know what, we're good. Your offense has not done squat against us. You can start at the 35 if you want.
Yeah, smart move. Smart move by a smart team. Okay, Saints, Panthers, predictions. I teased this earlier in the show. YouTube user at GodofFire118. Either you were cheating or like God of Fire is some sort of, 34-10, you got it on the dot. So
we will be watching.
Yeah, we're going to shout you out, but eyes wide open.
Yeah.
We're going to find out if you're cheating or not. There was also Chip McDonald. This one was definitely before, had 34-13. So that's my backup shout out. All right, you got to leave the comment, leave your score prediction. It's got to be on YouTube for it to count.
Is there any prize for it? I mean,
no.
Shouting out, that's the
we
prize?
You just get to hear your YouTube
That's
name.
pride.
So.
Okay.
Are you going to furnish
Unless
us
someone
prize?
wants to sponsor us.
Jeff will buy you a dinner at Clancy's.
No, I'm not.
You got a pair of Hokas?
Done enough of that lately. Maybe I'll give him a book or something.
All right.
Give us books.
Okay, Saints
Everybody
Panthers
wants
predictions.
one.
Rod
It's a
Walker
prize.
is not here. He has the Carolina Panthers 24 and the Saints 17. We're mostly in that ballpark. Matt?
I've got 21-18, the Panthers. I think the Saints could win this game, but I don't know. I just think the Panthers are in a rhythm right now. I don't really believe the letdown game, given we've talked about it earlier. And I don't think this is a rematch of the Cottonelle Doo-Doo Bowl, which is what Colin Saunders...
Cottonelle? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Cottonelle, yeah, that's what Colin Saunders called this game after the Saints lost it a year ago. Can't have doo-doo if one team is over 500, which the Panthers are. So there you go.
There's so many ways I could go with that, but I'm just going to leave it. I think the Saints can win this game. I think the Saints will win this game. It's not so much...
Whoa, we should have let this go last.
It's not so much that I think the Panthers will have a letdown as much as I just think the Panthers are terribly inconsistent. So they may, have a great game last week and then come home and lay a stinker. I think the Saints are probably a little bit closer than what they showed last week. I actually liked what I saw from Shough. Obviously, they got to hold on to the ball more, maybe have a break or two go their way. It feels like they're due for that to happen, and I think the Saints get a win, 23-19.
Okay. Are you
Going out on a limb.
You're trying to catch up on me.
I'm just a contrarian, man. I can't have everybody pick the same thing. Right? Are you?
Am I leading the pack? No way.
I think you and Rod might be.
Rod is 7-2.
You guys are both 7-2.
Okay, all right. I'm not taking the Saints. I'm like treating this like a 1990s football game where I'm looking at who has a better running back. I think I'm having a hard just with the way Rico Dowdle's been running the ball. I think it's not just him. Obviously, like the Panthers, I think have a good run scheme, and I think they've really developed an offensive line that like aims to get downhill on you. A lot of these guys have issues in pass protection, but this line can really block in the running game. So I'm taking Rico Dowdle. I have a pretty big game, and it's going to be enough to kind of squeak by the Saints. I also have 21-18. Panthers.
Totally independent, by the way. They came up with 21-18.
Yes.
Y'all get the same score?
So
same
and a weird score, too. 18?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Go for two.
I always like I try to like avoid like the just like 17s and 14s and 21s and 28s because like games never seem to follow those patterns. Like teams get to weird scores all the time.
Jeff and I have been on the 19.
Yeah, I picked 24-19.
Right. Well, at least you didn't pick 17-16.
But the Saints, I think, have scored 19 points randomly like 4 times in the last 10 games or something. It's crazy. But that's to Luke's point. They end up going for 2 and don't get it, and then that's how they get to that point.
I'm Matt.
Yeah. But I am confident. I'm not confident in my pick, but I'm confident I'm going to pick up a game on Zach.
Wow.
I feel very confident in that.
Talk that noise, man. We'll see what happens on Sunday. We will have a post-game show for you, and then it'll be into the Saints bye week. And so see if maybe they can get some momentum or if it's just the same old song heading into the bye. Our producers today were Amelia LaCour and Molly Ballinger. For Jeff Duncan, Luke Johnson, and Matthew Paris, I am Zach Ewing. And this has been the Saints. Don't play Hoobastank in my presence. This has been the Saints Insider.
We might be violating some rules.
We might
Copyright infringement.